Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have done that.
The movie begins in England, late at night, where three animal rights activists break into the Cambridge Primate Research Center. Inside, chimpanzees are being experimented on with footage of human violence and destruction. As the activists take photos, a scientist enters, tries to call security, but is restrained. He warns them that the chimps are infected with a highly contagious virus called rage. Ignoring his warning, they release one chimp, which immediately attacks and bites a woman. Another activist kills the animal, but the remaining chimps become agitated in their cages. The bitten woman vomits blood on the floor and onto another activist. The scientist urges them to kill her, but she transforms into an infected and attacks everyone in the room. 28 days later, Jim wakes from a coma in an empty hospital. He searches for people but finds only abandoned rooms and signs of chaos. After taking drinks from a vending machine, he leaves to explore London, which is completely deserted and heavily damaged. A newspaper reveals a mass exodus from Britain, and a bulletin board displays thousands of missing person notices. Jim enters a church where disturbing messages cover the walls. In the main hall, he finds rows of decaying bodies. When he calls out, a few of them move, staring at him. A priest approaches, infected, and attacks. Jim strikes him with a bag full of cans, but the priest continues pursuing him. Other infected emerge from the church and give chase. Jim runs until he reaches a gas station. Mark and Selena throw Molotov cocktails at the infected, clearing a path for Jim. Once he reaches safety, they ignite the gas station, destroying it. They take Jim to their hideout, an abandoned sweet shop in the London Underground. Jim explains he was in a coma after a car accident. Selena informs him that a highly contagious virus escaped from a research facility, rapidly infecting the population, overwhelming the army, and collapsing the government. Jim decides to visit his parents' home despite Selena's warning that they are likely dead. The three travel through deserted streets and reach the house. Jim finds his parents have taken their own lives to avoid infection, leaving a note that reads, "Don't wake up." Selena and Mark tell him he should be glad they died peacefully, unlike their own families who turned into infected. They spend the night there, but Jim, unable to sleep, watches old family videos. The light draws two infected who break through a window. Jim calls for help, and Selena and Mark quickly kill the attackers. Selena checks Jim for bites or blood exposure. Mark, however, has an arm wound contaminated with infected blood. Without hesitation, Selena kills him with her machete and warns Jim they must leave immediately before more infected arrive. After cleaning up, changing clothes, and gathering supplies, Jim and Selena move on. Selena warns him that anyone infected must be killed immediately, regardless of who they are. They spot flashing lights from a nearby apartment and investigate. The lobby is blocked with trolleys, which they climb over to reach the stairs. Midway up, they hear infected entering the building. The creatures also scale the barricade and give chase. A man in protective gear blocks their path, giving them the number and location of his apartment before staying behind to fight. Using a shield and bat, he holds off the infected. Jim and Selena reach the apartment, but the girl inside refuses to open the door until the man returns unharmed. Once inside, they meet Frank and his daughter Hannah, who welcome them. Frank explains that the lights were meant as a signal and is relieved it finally brought someone. The next day, Frank shows Jim the water collection buckets on the roof. It hasn't rained in a while, and resources are running low, making it harder to remain in the apartment. Frank then plays a repeating military radio broadcast stating that soldiers near Manchester are offering protection and claim to have the answer to the infection. He wants to travel there, but Selena is skeptical, believing it could be a trap or outdated information. Hannah convinces the group to take the risk. They load Frank's taxi with supplies and leave for Manchester. Driving through London, they pass widespread destruction and bodies in the streets. A blocked tunnel forces Frank to drive through a pile of wrecked cars and corpses, but the taxi gets a flat tire. As they replace it, hundreds of rats rush past, followed by approaching zombies. With no time to spare, Frank and Selena lift the car while Hannah changes the tire. They finish just before the zombies reach them and drive away. Hours later, they stop at a roadside burger shack to siphon fuel from a truck. Jim explores inside and discovers a dead family before being attacked by a zombie child, which he is forced to kill. Continuing their journey through the countryside, they see wild horses roaming freely. That evening, while stopping for dinner, Selena admits the trip has been better than she expected and kisses Jim on the cheek. That night, the group camps in the ruins of an old castle. Hannah and Jim struggle to sleep and accept medicine from Selena. In the morning, Jim dreams that he wakes up alone, but Frank rouses him, revealing it was only a dream. The next day, they continue toward Manchester and see the city burning in the distance. They reach the blockade mentioned in the radio broadcast, but it is deserted, with only abandoned military vehicles and equipment. Selena suggests leaving, but Frank insists on searching. Frustrated, he disturbs a crow feeding on a corpse, and a drop of infected blood falls into his eye. Realizing he is about to turn, Frank warns Hannah to stay back, but she approaches anyway. As the infection takes hold, Frank shoves her away. Selena tells Jim to kill him, but before Jim can act, soldiers arrive and shoot Frank. The soldiers take Jim, Selena, and Hannah to a fortified mansion in the woods. Major West, the leader, welcomes them, providing food and showers. Once settled, Hannah rests while Selena has an emotional moment, which Jim tries to comfort with a kiss. Selena leaves and Jim approaches West to ask about the answer to the infection. West explains they have no cure. His answer is the security of the mansion and the supplies they have. He also keeps a captured zombie soldier chained in the courtyard for study, intending to learn how long it takes for a zombie to starve. That evening, they have dinner with the soldiers, whose behavior is aggressive and unsettling. West remains in uniform, criticizes the cook for mistakes, and assumes Hannah will handle kitchen duties. An alarm interrupts the meal, and the soldiers move to defensive positions. They eliminate dozens of zombies with gunfire and explosives in minutes. After returning inside, a soldier named Mitchell attempts to assault Selena. Jim intervenes but is overpowered until Sergeant Farrell stops Mitchell. West orders the soldiers to clean up bodies, then speaks privately with Jim. West explains that morale was failing, and he promised his men women to repopulate after the zombies starved, which was the real reason for the radio broadcast. When Jim tries to escape with Hannah and Selena, soldiers capture them immediately. Farrell also opposes West's plan and tries to protect Jim, Selena, and Hannah, but he is captured. Jim and Farrell are locked together, and Farrell explains that the infection likely has not spread beyond Britain, and the rest of the world is intact. This gives Jim hope. The next morning, Mitchell and Jones take the prisoners to the forest for execution near a pile of bodies. Farrell accuses them of betraying their sergeant, leading to an argument. Jones wants to shoot them quickly while Mitchell wants to stab them. Jones fires, killing Farrell and injuring Mitchell. While they argue, Jim slips away, hiding among the corpses. He escapes by jumping over the wall, leaving his shirt behind. The soldiers assume he will not survive outside. In the woods, Jim sees a jet overhead, confirming Farrell's theory. At the mansion, soldiers prepare Selena and Hannah for sexual assault, forcing them into dresses. Selena pretends to cooperate, kissing a soldier to buy time. Once alone, she gives Hannah medicine to numb her. A soldier overhears but is interrupted when the alarm sounds. Jim is at the blockade, triggering it intentionally. West and another soldier search the area. Jim ambushes the soldier, killing him. West finds the body and opens fire, then tries to escape in a jeep, but it is disabled. A zombie attacks, and West kills it before returning to the mansion. Jim follows and frees the chained zombie, which immediately attacks the guards. Selena uses the distraction to pull Hannah away. The zombie infects a soldier, creating another zombie that chases Jones. Mitchell blocks Selena and Hannah, but the chaos continues as more soldiers are attacked. Jim watches from outside before finding and killing Jones. Hannah hides from a zombie in the changing room, using a mirror to confuse it. Jim ignores another soldier's pleas for help, leaving him to be eaten. Jim reaches the room where Mitchell is assaulting Selena. He attacks Mitchell, killing him violently. Selena almost kills Jim, mistaking him for infected, but hesitates. Hannah also mistakes him for infected and hits him with a vase, but he is unharmed. The three try to escape, but West ambushes them and shoots Jim. Hannah drives the taxi into the mansion, allowing the zombie to drag West away. She picks up Jim and Selena, and they crash through the gates. Jim recalls waking in a hospital with Selena performing CPR. 28 days later, the group lives in a rural cottage. Selena has sewn large letters spelling hello. When a plane flies overhead, they display the sign, and the plane circles back to rescue them. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we drop more videos like this. Thanks for watching.